just love this. I'm going to do just a brief experiment. Are either of you in a room with a Roman numeral watch or a clock?
No,
No.
I'm outside.
I have a clock.
Well, it's Roman numerals.
No.
If you're
No.
in, fascinating, take someone who has a Roman numeral watch or a clock, and you ask them, what does the 4 look like? And 90% of the time it's 4 eyes. And 80% of the people will say IV. I've done this with people that own the same watch 40 years and looked at it every day and couldn't see it. This is, Anil, back to your point. We see what's there. We don't see what's there. We see what we think is there, our perception. Now, Anil, I want to get your thoughts on another thing. I mean, I could listen to you guys talk forever. In my job as a coach, I didn't get paid if my clients didn't get better. A very unique billing system. No pay, no improvement, no pay. Better is not judged by my client. It's judged by the people around my client. In other words, Anil, their perception had to change before I could get paid. So what I really learned is I have to involve them in the process, because if I don't, even if the behavior of my clients changed, they wouldn't see that it changed, because they would put them in this same stereotypical box, and they would just wait for them to screw up, even if they, even if they didn't screw up. Like, I'll just give you a quick example. Let's say my problem is I make too many destructive comments about people. Well, I pick that. It sounds simple. Just quit doing it. The problem's gone. You're my colleague. I go 7 months and never make one bad comment. 7 months later, I say, idiots in finance, blah, blah, blah. His first reaction is, Marshall never changed. Marshall has never changed. The 7 months is gone. That will reconfirm that perception or stereotype. So, Anil, just a couple of quick suggestions from you I would love. How can the listeners really take what you've learned and really help people change others' perceptions of them? For example, the people we love. In many ways, the closer we are to another person, the harder it is to change perception, because the deeper the stereotype is.
That's absolutely right. Yeah. That is a big challenge. But I think you yourself hinted at the solution to that, which is that you have to be flexible with the context too. Because the context that we're in, this situation that we're in, the environment we're in, you can think of that as just a whole set of other expectations that shape what we perceive. We'll perceive things in different ways depending on the surroundings, and we may not realize that that's what we're doing. So if you want to bring out some change that's happened or that you think you've made, then by sort of altering the context to reveal that, I think that in that way you do stand a chance of having people able to overcome their perceptual habits. I like to think in terms of perceptual habits, just as we have behavioral habits.
Right.
And to break a perceptual habit, you have to not just change the actions you do, you've got to change the context in which you do them.
Okay, coming up, can perception change our workplace? Now, this is a question we're going to ask our panel, and the best way of doing that is to go even further and have an expert from Microsoft ask the question. So because of that, and with no further ado, let me introduce you to Catherine Hinkle, which is General Manager at Microsoft, and she will run today's BCG Minute. Let's roll the minute.
Hi, I'm Catherine Hinkle, and I'm the General Manager of Microsoft in Switzerland. I would like to know, with all of the leadership discussions, how does technology that becomes so predominant in our workspace and interaction with our customers, interaction with our people, how does that change leadership? I'm really looking forward to your answer.
Whoa, not an easy challenge here. Would like to go for Ellen. Do you have some views on this?
No, but I'll try anyway. That talking about leadership, so that you have different views of leadership. Leadership can be a function of skill or a function of inherited leadership, and so on and so forth. And so if what's happened is machines have taken over the place of people, what is the task you want the leader to accomplish? Now, we did some research that probably too long to go into. Well, I'll tell you anyway, just very briefly. We had orchestras playing mindfully or mindlessly. And then we had people evaluate the performances, and everybody preferred, 90% of the people preferred the mindfully played pieces. And when I was writing that up, which initially was just about music and mindfulness, I realized how it spoke to leadership. Here, it was very strange that you had superior coordinated performance with everybody doing their own thing. And so whether it's with machines, technology, or in any other environment, I believe that probably the best way to lead is to encourage other people's mindfulness, rather than the way many people lead now is with the belief that we know, and therefore you have to do A, B, and C. And what people need to realize that everything they know was based on yesterday, not tomorrow, not even today. So you want to stop using yesterday's solutions to solve today's problems. And I believe also speaks to the last thing you were talking about. If you assume that behavior makes sense from the actor's perspective, or else the actor wouldn't do it, then all of our negative judgments of people would change, and we'd have more respect for those people that we're pushing around at work, for example. But also that would deal with the situation Anil was speaking to, that the way to change somebody's interpersonal interaction is not to say, all right, I'll tolerate the fact that you're behaving intolerably, or I'll try to recontextualize it. It probably would be to recognize that that behavior has potentially many understandings. You may have no respect for me because I'm so gullible, but when you realize behavior makes sense from my perspective, or else I wouldn't do it, you see that I'm trusting. I can't stand you, Martin, you're so inconsistent. But from your perspective, you're being flexible, and so on. So rather than change the behavior, get the individual to understand the behavior differently, and then there's nothing to change. You don't want me not to be trusting. I don't want you not to be flexible.
It's funny, Ellen, as you're saying this, because it reminds me about one of our clients, which is Maersk. It's the largest shipping company in the world. And we were there when the cyber attack happened, which actually supposedly was the biggest cyber attack happening on any company. Think about this, 88,000 staff were impacted, 25% of all trade were impacted. Now, here's the interesting thing. As we were walking through the offices where nothing happened, the computers were down, the phones did not work, the emails were gone, then people, of course, went into panic for a couple of hours. And then what happened was the leaders stepped up. Suddenly they were walking down the hallways twice a day. People actually had this open door policy, which certainly was real and not just something they were saying. And what was remarkable, after the cyber attack, 6 or 7 weeks later, I went around the world and interviewed a lot of people and spent time with thousands of Maersk employees and asked them, how was it? And they all said to me, nearly all said to me, it was like the old Maersk had returned. We had a spirit, we're sticking together. And this is back to what you're saying. Suddenly they were mindful, but not only that, technology was not driving the outcome. They used certainly technology as a tool, but it was not the opposite way, which I think is really a consequence of our world today.